Today, church is rapidly becoming a bad brand. You heard some of this in the video. Younger people, especially progressive and better educated, increasingly see church as hierarchical, rigid, out of touch, hypocritical, and narrow-minded. So while being part of that church world once gave us a kind of legitimacy, today being part of organized religion makes us suspect. And a part of the video that, for technical reasons, didn't get shown, somebody was talking about that. And it's something I bet many of us feel, and I feel because I relate directly to that, was I hesitate. I didn't darken the door of a church for 25 years. And I miss community, and my family did, but church was such a bad brand that we resisted it for a long time until UU friends saying, no, this is really different. You should try, you should go some Sunday to the UU church. And we finally broke down and did, and here I am. But now, for so many people, increasingly, the fact that we are a church or seen as part of that church world, religious world, is a barrier to them coming in, not an entryway to another of them. And so while tens of millions of the nuns, the none of the above, are skeptical of religious institutions, they're not hostile to spirituality. They see themselves as spiritual but not religious. We've all seen that. They want depth and meaning in their lives. They want to connect with ideals that transcend narrow self-interest. They long for community and for intimacy. They aspire to lives in service to something that's beyond the banality of consumer culture. And they're open-minded. They accept LGBT people without a second thought. As we know, marriage equality to people under 30 is just simply no big deal. They're accepting of racial and ethnic diversity. They grew up among immigrants. They're not threatened by them. They're accepting of cultural and religious diversity, and they have no patience with a perspective that says one religious tradition has all of the truth and is the one and only way. These nuns also care about things like economic justice and the environment. And we see their involvement in like the Occupy Wall Street movement and issues. They care deeply about issues like global warming and sustainability. Do you see a pattern here? I can hear my children, echoes of my children saying, well, duh. The nuns are us. The nuns are us. They share our values. They share our aspirations. They share our theology of freedom and openness, our emphasis on social justice as an expression of our faith, our full acceptance of women and LGBT people. They're in perfect alignment. We are in perfect alignment with what is now a third of American young people. So one would think that we would be growing by leaps and bounds, but we're not. And as you saw in the charts, we've actually been really flat for the last decade and dropped a little bit in the last few years. This gap between our obvious potential, I mean, if it were market analysis, you'd go, there's a ready market for us. And the reality drives me crazy. It's driven me crazy since I became a UU, since I went to seminary. And really that gap between what we could be and where we are is the reason I got involved in denominational leadership and decided to be a candidate for president. Now, I've said a number of times, and you may have heard the line, that we can be the religion for our time. And to me, that's not a slogan. It's a core conviction that shaped all of my mystery. Our potential is breathtaking. And this isn't about growth for the sake of growth. It's about serving people and engaging people who are spiritually hungry and religiously homeless. I don't think it's moral or ethical to ignore their needs and their pain. So what's going on? How is it that our values and our perspective are a perfect fit for millions? And although our membership hasn't changed much, we're actually a smaller part of America than we were 50 years ago. Now, I used to believe that the key to realizing our potential was simply to do church well. And I was especially passionate, as you heard in that wonderful introduction, about paying attention to what I called religious hospitality. My reasoning went like this. Every Sunday, our congregations have thousands and thousands of visitors who come to check us out, to see if we might be their spiritual home. And if we just did a better job of making sure that these people were truly welcomed, if we paid more attention to really engaging them, they'd return and eventually find a religious home. And I believe this because I saw it work. As you heard, I served a congregation that grew from 400 members to more than 750 members. And we concentrated on what visitors experienced when they came, and on the quality of our worship and all our programming. We didn't do anything that was particularly innovative. Yet we became one of the half dozen or so fastest growing congregations in our association. And I've also seen dozens of other congregations growing and thriving. In every single case, they have a sense of mission, a passion for excellence, and a deep knowledge of their context. And our thriving churches are really different from one another. There isn't one magic formula because they've learned to adapt to where they are. I still believe that doing church well is essential, and I'm convinced that we should be attentive to the needs of the thousands of seekers who come week after week. However, I now realize that with all these changes that are happening that I've shown you, that this is not enough. It isn't nearly enough. Simply doing an excellent job of doing church isn't enough because our culture is changing so rapidly. Now, we UUs want to make a difference. We want to make a difference at the personal and spiritual level. We want to deepen our lives and be in community with friends who seek depth and authenticity. And we want to make a difference in the wider world, too. We refuse to separate spiritual depth from social justice. We want to act together in the world as an expression of our faith. We want to reach out. And we're not content, thank heavens, with being a marginalized remnant of a fine tradition. We face a challenge and an opportunity that is truly historic. If we keep on doing religion the way we've done it for the last 50 or 100 years, we are doomed. If we keep doing religion the way we've done it for the last 50 years, we're doomed. We will slowly fade into irrelevance, and that would be tragic. However, if we adapt, we have potential that no other religious tradition has. We don't have to change our values. We don't have to change our theology. Everything that is central and is essential to who we are is what the emerging culture wants and needs. So what do we have to do to seize this historic opportunity? What do we have to do to become the religion for our time? We have to change the way we practice our religion. We have to break down the walls of church. I love this breaking down walls theme that you have here. We have to break down all of the barriers that separate us from the millions of people who hunger for spiritual community and who want to create a compassionate and just planet. And we can't simply expect them to come to us anymore. Some are going to come and we have to welcome them. But so many people are so turned off by what they imagine church to be that they'll never come to us. We have to learn how to reach out in new ways and engage people where they are. And that means increasingly interacting with people in the electronic commons. It also means engaging them at public witness events like rallies for marriage equality, immigration reform, and economic justice. The real question we're asking ourselves is, how do we communicate effectively and powerfully with people that we've not been able to reach before? How do we tell them who we are, what we do, and how it makes a difference in their lives?